When I tell you my ex-husband fumbled the bag, I mean he fumbled it so badly it belongs in some kind of hall of fame for bad decisions. Jake and I had been together for 9 years, married for 6, and for months we had been planning what was supposed to be the most magical vacation of our lives. I did everything, researched the resorts, scoured through endless reviews, organized excursions, and prepaid the entire trip. I was practically vibrating with excitement because it wasn't just a vacation, it was supposed to be our chance to reset, relax, and celebrate everything we'd built together. At least, that's what I thought. Enter Mandy, his longtime girl best friend. She was perpetually in crisis mode, the type of person whose entire personality was built around chaos. Breakups, meltdowns, toxic situations, Mandy thrived in them, and Jake always positioned himself as her knight in shining armor. I used to let it slide because, frankly, I wasn't the insecure type. I trusted him. Or at least I did until 3 weeks before our trip when Mandy went through yet another breakup and started calling him every night in tears. Cue the late-night therapy sessions that left me rolling my eyes, but not particularly worried. I figured he'd be supportive and then come back to his senses. Except 2 weeks before we were set to leave, Jake sat me down with a face so serious I thought someone had died. Instead, he said the words that made my brain short-circuit. "Babe, I think it would be best if I took Mandy on the trip instead of you. She really needs this right now. You're strong, you'll understand." I laughed in his face because I thought it was a bad joke. Nope. He doubled down. He told me I'd forgive him eventually because I wasn't fragile like Mandy and I'd see that this was the right thing to do. I swear I could feel my blood pressure hit dangerous levels in that moment. Imagine your husband looking you dead in the eye and basically telling you that some other woman deserves the honeymoon-style trip you've been planning for months more than you do. Peak audacity. I wish I could say I immediately kicked him out, but instead I shut down, went quiet, and let him think he had won. There's a saying that revenge is a dish best served cold, but in my case it was served oceanfront with a mimosa in hand. He had no idea that every single booking was in my name, tied to my ID, and fully under my control. Flights? Non-transferable. Hotel? Registered under me. Excursions? Already prepaid and locked with my information. My man thought he could just swap me out for Mandy, like we were a pair of shoes. Cute. He clearly never read the fine print. I called up my best friend Tara, my ride-or-die since college, and spilled everything. She listened to me rage for about 5 minutes before she said the magic words, "Oh honey, we're going on this trip. Let's make it one for the history books." That's when the game officially started. I quietly updated all reservations to reflect me and Tara. I didn't breathe a word to Jake. Instead, I acted distant, sulky, but understanding. I let him believe his little plan was going to work. He packed his suitcase the night before the trip with this smug little look, like he was doing something noble. I wanted to laugh in his face, but held it in. The morning of our flight, Tara and I woke up early, got ready, and headed to the airport. Jake thought the flight was in the afternoon because I may or may not have accidentally given him the wrong info. By the time he and Mandy dragged themselves there, Tara and I were already sipping champagne in first class. The kicker? Their names weren't even on the reservations. When Jake tried to check in, he learned he didn't actually have a ticket. I didn't even need to see the meltdown to know it was happening. I could picture the way his face turned red and how Mandy probably went ballistic right there in the terminal. Meanwhile, Tara and I were clinking glasses, living our best lives. When we landed, it only got better. We breezed into the resort with no issues because the booking was in my name. Tara and I were escorted straight to the honeymoon suite, the suite I had originally booked for Jake and me. When Jake and Mandy eventually showed up, sweaty and exhausted, the front desk shut them down instantly. No reservation under his name, no entry. Everything was booked solid since it was peak season, and unless he wanted to fork over thousands of dollars for some last-minute dive miles away, they were out of luck. I can only imagine the fight that broke out between them after that. Meanwhile, Tara and I were out here thriving. Spa treatments, 5-course dinners, jet skis, cocktails by the pool. We did every single excursion I'd planned, laughing the whole time about how pathetic Jake and Mandy must have looked dragging their suitcases around trying to find a place to stay. And yes, I posted just enough on social media to rub salt in the wound, strategic little posts of sunsets and champagne glasses, never showing who I was with. Just enough to keep him guessing. The best part? Tara and I had the time of our lives. She's hilarious, adventurous, and exactly the person you want by your side on vacation. It hit me in the middle of a beachside dinner one night that I hadn't laughed that hard in months. I realized how much I had been settling for someone who saw me as second place to a friend who didn't even respect our marriage. By the time we flew home, my mind was made up. When I got back, Jake was already there, furious and demanding answers. He screamed that I had sabotaged the trip and humiliated him in front of Mandy. He actually had the audacity to shout, "How could you do this to me and Mandy," as though she was my responsibility. That was my cue. I calmly slid the manila envelope across the counter and told him, "You chose her. Now you can have her. But you don't get to have me, my money, or my loyalty anymore." Divorce papers. His face drained of color like someone had just unplugged him. The fallout has been nothing short of poetic. Turns out Mandy wasn't thrilled about spending her big healing vacation homeless in a sketchy motel, so she left early. Their friendship is apparently on the rocks because even she realized he played himself. Our mutual friends? They're all on my side. They've been calling him an idiot to his face, which honestly saves me the trouble. Legally, he's not getting much out of this, because everything significant is in my name, including that ill-fated vacation. And me? I'm thriving. Tara and I are already planning another trip, this time to Italy, and the only stress I have now is deciding between Amalfi or Florence. Jake has been blowing up my phone, crying that he made a mistake and begging me to take him back. Every message starts with "I realize now" or "Please give me another chance," but all I see are excuses. He didn't just make a mistake, he made a choice. And that choice showed me exactly where I stood in his life, behind his best friend. So now he can live with her in the #1 spot, because I've moved on. So yeah, maybe I'm petty. Maybe I'm vindictive. But tell me why I should have rolled over and let him treat me like a placeholder while he played hero to someone else. Instead, I took my own happiness back, and I did it with style. Honestly, it felt like karma just clocked in early and asked me to sign the timesheet. Jake tried to hand my seat to someone else, and I reminded him that this ride was never his to control. And the best part? Watching him realize that the life he threw away isn't waiting for him anymore. That's my revenge, and it was worth every second.